Look at this picture attentively. One of these people doing planks isn't human. Can you figure out which one it is? It's the man on the right. Even though he seems to have a perfectly human reaction, he has two left hands. Weird. Now, how about these two ladies? Which of them is dangerous? The worker behind the lady on the left indicates that it's too dangerous to stand so close to the edge. So, this woman isn't dangerous. She is in danger. As for the woman on the right, she seems to be scared of the arriving train, but in fact, she is dangerous. Look at her belly. She's not pregnant. She's hiding something under her clothes. This scene looks like something from a nightmare. But once you get used to this spider woman, can you figure out who the prey is? It's actually the female monster. The man has a lasso to catch her. These two people seem to be in grave danger, but in reality, one of them is safe. Which one is it? Looking at the rope holding the man, it's tearing apart, so he's in danger. The woman is safe, at least physically. Now we have these two lovely grannies. Which of them is dangerous? What do you think? Look at the granny on the right. Her reflection is actually ahead of time, applying lipstick, while the real granny is just holding it in her hand. This granny is dangerous. The other just likes tartar, I'd say. I have a thing on my mind. It's super easy to lift, but hard to throw. Can you guess what it is? It's a feather. Do you know something that has 88 keys? It might sound exotic, but this thing is just a piano. I bet this riddle will make you think. Listen attentively. If there are 12 $5 coins in a dozen, how many $10 coins are in a dozen? 10, 12, 15, or 5? The correct answer is 12, since a dozen always has 12 elements. In a 7-story building, the higher the floor is, the more people live there. Based on this information, what floor does the elevator go to most often? The second, fourth, first, or seventh? If you have answered that the elevator goes to the first floor most often, you're absolutely right. Residents from all the floors must go to the first floor at some point. Almost all people have 10 fingers on both hands. Now, answer very fast. How many fingers are there on 10 hands? Even though it seems that the correct answer is 100, it's actually 50. If you disagree, find 10 hands and count each finger. A man says, "Everything I say is a lie." Does he tell the truth? Does he lie? Or is it impossible to figure it out? The man lies. because if it was indeed the case, then at least one of his statements that he always lies would be true, and it creates a logical paradox. Look at these people. They seem to be sound asleep, but one of them has just sneaked into their bed. Which one is it? It's the girl on the right. She's forgotten to take off her heels. A security guard stops these women before they leave the store. He's sure that one of them is a thief. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which one is a criminal. It's the woman on the right. She's the only one wearing comfortable footwear, most likely for a fast escape. Mark and Amy were parents to a teenager called Jacob. One day, Mark's laptop disappeared, and nobody in the house could find it. They called the police. When a detective arrived and searched the place, he found a note on Mark's desk. It was written by Jacob. The note read, "Wow." The detective immediately figured out who had taken the laptop. Can you crack this case too? It was Amy. If you turn the note upside down, it'll read, "Mom." An archaeologist is exploring an ancient cave in an isolated area. When he's about to leave, the front part of the cave collapses. The man immediately runs inside to save his life. He sees 3 tunnels. Only one leads to safety. The first tunnel is filled with giant mice. The second is home to 12 grizzly bears. The third tunnel leads to a lake swarming with hungry sharks. Which tunnel should he enter? Even though it's not the most pleasant solution, the safest option is the tunnel with mice. They don't attack humans. Mary went to a spa to have a massage. At one point, she dozed off. When it was time to pay, Mary discovered that her money was missing. There were 3 people who could have taken the money. The first employee said that she'd had her lunch at the back of the salon. The second employee claimed she had gone to the storage room to get some massage oil. And another customer explained that she'd been waiting for her turn to get a massage. Who is lying? The second employee. Why would she need to go to the storage if she has a few bottles of oil right there on the table? How good are you at math? We'll see in a moment. If A plus A equals B, B plus B equals D, A plus D equals E, then how much is B plus D plus E equal to? It's the letter K, which equals 11. All these letters represent their positions in the alphabet. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, D equals 4, and E equals 5. 2 plus 4 plus 5 equals 11. And that's the letter K. Thomas loved asking his friends to solve all kinds of funny riddles. If they answered correctly, he helped them with whatever they had problems with. One day, Daniel came to Thomas and asked for help with his math exam. He knew the rules though. He had to solve one riddle first. What kind of running leads to walking? Thomas asked. Do you know the correct answer? Daniel said, running out of gas. And he was right. So Thomas helped him right away. Detective Lawson was working on a tricky case. One day, he vanished. his colleagues found an encrypted note on his desk. It looked like this. The officers knew Lawson had 3 suspects: Milana, Susan, and Emily. Which of them knows something about the detective's disappearance? After some time, one of the police officers cracked the code. D plus 1 equals E, L plus 1 equals M, and so on. It was Emily who knew where the detective was. Can you figure out which of these girls lacks common sense? Well, neither of them is the brightest bulb in the chandelier. The one on the left is going to post a photo of her credit card on her social media. And the one on the right is going to share the details of her ID and plane ticket with her followers. That's incredibly unsafe. Welcome back to our show. Before the break, Mr. Sanders here made it to our grand finale. How do you feel, Mr. Sanders? Nervous. Okay, now to win the main prize of $1 million, all you have to do is name 100 words that do not contain the letter A in 90 seconds. Start the clock. Can you help Mr. Sanders win the prize? He just needs to start counting really fast from 1 to 100. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There is no letter A in any of these numbers. Check for yourself. Laura had 2 admirers. One day, she urgently needed cash. But both men told her they didn't want to give her money. At the same time, they promised to buy her whatever she wanted. How did the young lady get out of the situation? Laura brought her first admirer to a clothing store, where she chose an expensive coat. The man paid, and they both left. The next day, the lady came to the same place with her second admirer and acquired the same coat. The third time, she visited the store herself in order to return one of the purchases. Voila! Neither of her admirers was going to suspect her of returning his gift, and she had the cash she needed.
3 cats can catch 3 mice in 3 minutes. How long will it take 10 cats to catch 10 mice? The same 3 minutes. No more, no less. There are 100 books on the shelf. To count off 10 of them, you need 10 seconds. How much time will you spend counting off 80 books? Just 20 seconds. You'll need this time to count off 20 books, and the rest will make 80. Smart, right? Even when it passes in front of the sun, it doesn't cast a shadow. What is it? It's the wind. Now let's get down to some serious stuff. Someone stole the money Michael kept in his safe. After watching the security footage, the police figured out that it had happened at midnight. They questioned 3 suspects. Hannah said she'd gone to bed at 10 p.m. and fallen asleep right away. Liam told the detective he'd been watching TV from 11:45 p.m. to 1 a.m. And Aiden said he'd been with his friends, partying all night. The police arrested the thief. Who was it? It was Liam. He was suspiciously specific about the time. A man came to a jewelry store planning to buy an expensive diamond ring for his wife, but someone stole his wallet right in the store. The manager called the police and asked all the visitors who were inside at the time to stay until the officer's arrival. The police arrived and examined the people attentively. Soon, they knew who had taken the wallet. Can you figure it out too? It's the man in the middle. He has a bandage on his right arm, but it's wrapped over the sleeve of his jacket, not hidden under it like a real bandage would be. Detective Theodore Mitchell worked undercover at a luxurious resort. The police suspected that the hotel owners were involved in some shady deals. Theodore's main task was to sneak into the manager's office and check the documents. But the door was locked, and there was a combination lock. Theodore had to solve a math riddle, and the answer would be the code. As soon as he punched in the code, the door opened. What was the correct number? The code was 30. There are no mathematical symbols at the end of the first and second lines. It means the whole thing looks like this. A police officer knocks on the door. A man opens it. The officer informs the man that a plant pot fell out of his window an hour ago and hit a woman on the head. She's not badly hurt, but now the man needs to compensate this woman for the damage. The man lets the officer inside, but argues that the situation can't be true. He claims that his windows were closed an hour ago because he has just returned home. The officer knows that the man is lying. How has he figured it out? The police officer spotted a pan with boiling water in the kitchen. If the man indeed came home just a few minutes ago, the water wouldn't have had enough time to start boiling. 3 men were swimming in the sea. The weather was getting worse, and a Coast Guard asked them to leave the water. But when they got back to the shore, only 2 of the men had wet hair. Why? The third man was bald. A gust of wind blew a $100 bill out of the hands of a grocery store owner. The money seemed to have vanished into thin air. But in reality, one of the customers must have taken the bill. But no one wanted to admit to stealing the money. The woman was especially indignant and suggested that her bag should be checked. A security guard asked her to follow him to the office, but she refused to go. After that, the guard called the police. Why? The woman was standing on the $100 bill. If she followed the guard, everyone would see the money. A man found himself on an island inhabited by a tribe of savages. The tribespeople locked him in a house with only 2 exits. One of the doors led to freedom, while the other led to demise. 2 guards were in the house with him. One of them always told the truth, and the other always lied. The man was allowed to ask only one question to one of them. Of course, he didn't know which of them was the honest person and which one was the liar. What question should he ask to find the correct exit and save his life? The question he should ask is, what would your companion say if I asked which door leads to freedom? No matter who he asks, the answer will always be the wrong door. So, he should open the opposite door. It'll lead to freedom. One day, posters were put up in one of Prague's main squares. They read, "Beware of pickpockets." The local police knew that there were indeed many pickpockets in the area, but they actively tore down these posters. Why? There were many tourists in this square. The pickpockets themselves put up these posters. This made their job easier. People who read the announcement would instinctively check their valuables to make sure they were still there. At that moment, the thieves would watch them and figure out exactly where their targets kept their belongings. The police, realizing this trick, tore down the posters to prevent people from unknowingly helping the thieves rob them. Mary lived in a luxurious mansion. One day, she discovered that all her jewelry had mysteriously disappeared. The police arrived at the crime scene and realized that the theft had occurred very recently. They questioned 4 people who were in the house at the time of the incident. The gardener said he'd been tending the flower beds in the garden all morning. His hands were covered in green and brown stains from plants and soil. The builder claimed he'd been working in the yard, repairing the fence. His hands had splinters and small scratches. Mary's niece stated that she had been swimming in the pool all morning. And the maid said she had been cleaning the windows, so she was still wearing silicone gloves. The detective asked everyone to show their hands and immediately realized who was lying. Who is the thief? The niece. If she had really been in the pool all morning, her fingers would have been wrinkled. Elijah went on a cruise. On the 3rd day, he noticed that one of the staff members was an imposter. Look at them attentively and try to guess who it is. This waitress is actually hiding a police badge under her floral garland. She must be undercover. A precious 16th century brooch has been stolen from its glass display case in a museum. The only person who has entered it is the cleaning lady, Mrs. Douglas, who's been working there for 20 years. After examining the crime scene, the detective, who has come to investigate the case, arrests Mrs. Douglas. Why? Mrs. Douglas's habit let her down. After breaking the display case and taking the brooch, she carefully cleaned up the glass shards. A very famous painting disappeared from a museum. Later, the police managed to find it, but there was a problem. They found not 1, but 3 paintings. Only one of them is original. The others are just copies. Can you help the police figure out which is the original painting? It's the one with the brown frame. Take a look. All frames in the museum are made in the same style.
James is a journalist who loves solving difficult crimes. He heard on the news about a mysterious disappearance of pets all over town, so he decided to investigate for himself. He started by visiting a park where most pets have disappeared over the past week. By looking at the image, can you tell who's responsible for the disappearances? The old lady looks pretty innocent, and that young couple is too busy arguing. But the guy sitting on the bench has a dog collar hidden in his pocket, but no dog. He's the culprit. The following week, he heard rumors about a small supermarket that was selling expired products to their client. So he went to investigate it more closely. He examined the cookies, the soft drinks, and the bottles of milk. Can you figure out if the market is really committing a crime here? Take a look at the milk. The expired milk is hiding behind the regular milk. It's more yellow than the new ones. Guess they imagined people would buy it sooner or later. One of James' friends invited him to go to a festival to investigate a serious case. They were serving expensive dishes with absurdly low-quality ingredients. They tasted the food of a few stalls before they could identify which chef was sabotaging the food. Can you tell? The stalls look fine, but the last chef is suspicious. On the back of his stall, you can see the amount of flies flying over his ingredients. They are poorly conserved, out of the fridge, and probably gone sour by now. Ew. An important art gallery premiered a new show filled with expensive paintings of a new artist. Only regulars came to check it out, but by the end of the night, one of the paintings had disappeared. Can you help James check the security tapes and figure out who did it? These three elderly men look suspicious. One of them is wearing a hat indoors, which is weird but stylish. The second is wearing sunglasses at night. But the third one, with a stooped back, well, no one's back is that rectangular. He must have hid the painting under his coat behind his back. A horrible crime happened in James' neighborhood, and a person was severely hurt. James went over to check the crime scene. There were 3 women in the house. One was cleaning, one was investigating, and one was taking photos. Can you guess who's guilty here? Check the details. The one who was cleaning had a stained cloth with a red stain on it that looks like blood, but it's just the paint from the wall that came off a bit. While the one taking the photos has a shiny object in her bag. If you look closely, it's a sharp knife that matches the object used in the crime. One night, James decided to go out for dinner when he ran into one of his exes, Maria. He noticed she was out on a date with another guy, but was hurt because they had broken up just a few weeks ago. Take a good look at the picture. Can you help James figure out which guy Maria is on a date with? From the 2 guys standing on the bar's counter, Maria's date is the guy on the left. He's holding a gift in his hand, and if you look closely, the tag says, "From Pete to Maria." So he's the one. James was getting so good at solving mysteries that a game show host invited him to be on the lookout for potential saboteurs of the show. One night, 3 contestants were invited to pick up a bar of gold from a bowl filled with piranhas. James noticed that one of the contestants was cheating. Can you figure out which one? It's the guy in the middle. He switched the fish from his bowl. If you look closely, they're more golden than the other ones. That's because it's another species, not as dangerous as piranhas. Faye just came back from living abroad, and she invited James to her welcome back party. During the night, the lights went out, the music stopped, and someone screamed they were being robbed. James spent the rest of the night looking at the security footage to identify the robber. Can you help him figure out who it was? It was the girl dancing on the left corner. Take a close look at her pocket. Before the lights went out, there was nothing there. Then, it has something in the shape of a necklace in there. Friday night, James went to a concert of one of his favorite bands. But the concert was over an hour later because one of its members simply disappeared. When she finally appeared, the crowd shouted she didn't look like herself. James figured out she, in fact, wasn't herself, but the band was trying to cover it. Take a look at the evidence. How did James figure it out? The first picture shows the original band. The guitar player is blonde and doesn't have a pimple on her face. That night, the guitar player was brunette, way taller, and had pimples. It's finals week at Crestwood Academy, and the tension was sky high. On the day of the biology exam, the principal decided to invite James to supervise all the classrooms. When he strolled into room 5A, he immediately spotted someone up to no good and got them suspended on the spot. Check out the classroom and see if you can figure out who is cheating. It's the student with a smartwatch. He's looking at his watch to get the answers to the exam. There was a recent break-in at Mr. O'Reilly's store. Luckily, James was around to solve the crime. He noticed one small but very important detail from the security footage that solved the mystery. Take a look at the images. Can you figure out who the thief is? Now let's see, that guy is just carrying around a baguette. The one near the fridge has normal groceries in her cart. And the last guy is holding a lettuce in his hands. But hey, take a look at the lettuce. It has such a weird shape. In fact, it has a banana inside of it. The guy was trying to sneak out with a banana and a lettuce. He's the thief, definitely. James' boss, Roberto, got arrested. There was something illegal inside his bag, but he claims it wasn't his. James went to investigate the case. He checked the security cameras and saw that 2 people walked inside Roberto's office while he was out for lunch. One of them put something inside his bag. Can you guess who? The first woman stopped by the window to clean it, but she didn't touch the bag, while the second bent to throw something in the trash and discreetly placed something inside his bag. She's the culprit. James got a call from a gift shop. The owner told him a robber came in dressed as the Joker. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking around dressed up like that. James took a snapshot of the security footage and tracked 3 suspects. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it. James finally decided to run a marathon. Right before the finish line, he did his best and outran the person who was running in second place. Somehow, he still didn't finish first. Why? This is what happened. He was fast enough to outrun the person who was going to come in second place, but not fast enough to outrun the person who finished first. Noah, James' roommate, got his motorbike stolen straight from their garage. James started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping, and one can spot the old green color. He must have stolen it and painted it a different color so as not to attract any attention.
A lot of things can go wrong during a taxi ride, but you can save the day if you solve all the riddles. A woman got into a taxi with a light suitcase. Along the way, they made a short stop, and she stepped out of the car. When she returned, it was obvious that her suitcase got much heavier, and she was nervous. The taxi driver took her to the police. Why? Her suitcase suddenly became much heavier after the stop. She must have put something inside. The driver noticed she was nervous and suspected that the luggage might contain illegal or stolen items, so he decided to take her to the police. A passenger took a taxi and the ride cost $18. He gave the driver $50. The driver got distracted and accidentally gave back the $50 bill instead of a $20 bill. How much money did the passenger get as change? So the passenger gave $50 and received $50 back. Instead of getting $32 as he should have, he got $62. Let's hope he was honest and told the driver about it. A passenger ordered a taxi, and 2 drivers arrived at the same time. Both of them claimed they accepted the ride request, but one of them is honest and the other will drive in circles to increase the fare. How can the passenger figure out who to trust? The female driver has a taximeter on the dashboard, showing the fare and distance traveled. This means she is a legit driver. The male driver has no taximeter, and there's a map on the front seat. He might be planning to take unnecessary detours. A woman ordered a taxi through an app and saw that the car number matched the one in the booking. But as soon as she got inside, she realized that the driver was an imposter. How did she figure it out? The app showed that this was a licensed taxi, but inside there was no meter or official stickers with a license number. The driver's profile photo in the app showed a clean-shaven man, while the actual driver had a long beard that looked fake. Late at night, a man ordered a taxi from a cafe. The driver arrived, but after the passenger got in and asked to change the destination, he suddenly refused to drive him. Why? When the passenger got into the car, the taxi driver noticed that he had huge bags. He asked to change the destination from a point in the city center to a dark forest on the outskirts. The driver decided not to take the risk and cancel the trip. Who knows what the passenger had in mind? A passenger gets into a taxi and says, "Take me home." The driver remembers picking him up from the house a few days ago, so he knows the street. But the passenger doesn't want to tell the driver the house number for some reason and gives the driver one clue. My house number is a 2-digit number that looks the same right side up as it does upside down. What is the passenger's house number? It's 69. Sam picks up a man in a smart suit not far away from a jewelry store. He tells Sam, "Take the shortest route to the airport, but don't pass by the police station. There's a traffic jam there." Sam does the opposite and drives the man directly to the police station. Why? Did you notice the man has 3 golden watches and 5 heavy golden chains on his neck? He must have robbed the jewelry store and doesn't want to be anywhere near the police station. A man hailed a taxi in the city center and gave the driver an address. The driver looked at him, then at his phone, and said, "Sorry, I can't take you," and drove away. Why? The driver had just received an alert that a dangerous prisoner had escaped from an island prison. The description of the criminal matched. The driver suspected that the passenger might have changed into his lawyer's clothes and decided not to take the risk. Jill picks up a passenger at 3:15 p.m. The passenger needs to reach the train station by 3:45 p.m. to catch a train. Jill has 3 route options. Which route should Jill take? Route C. Even though it's the longest, it takes only 20 minutes, meaning he'll reach the station by 3:35 p.m. and will have enough time to find the platform. The driver can choose one of 3 passengers in the app. They all offer to pay the same fare. Who is the best option based on their profiles? The driver should pick Rick. The trip is short, but the fare is the same as for other trips, and he'll get some generous tips. A woman messages the driver through the taxi app. The driver immediately calls 911 and they rescue the woman. How did the driver guess she needed help? That house number looks really strange, so the driver guesses it's a code. I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, so it stands for 9, and A stands for 1, so it was a call for action. It turned out that a stranger had broken into the woman's house and wouldn't let her call for help directly, and she had to get creative. Taxi driver Tim receives an order with a special request. A scientist who has some fragile equipment they want to transport is asking Tim to enter their house and help with the cargo, but they didn't specify on which floor they lived. Can you help Tim figure it out? There's clearly a family with a child on the ground floor. Look at all those toys. It's not clear who lives on the first floor. Tim definitely needs the top floor because of all the flasks and other equipment. Sam finished on his 10-hour shift. He left the taxi in the parking lot. When he came back the next morning, there was a stranger sleeping in the back seat. None of the windows were broken, so Sam doesn't understand how it was possible. Can you help him figure it out? The stranger didn't have to break the window because the doors weren't locked. Sam forgot to lock the car because he was really tired after the 10-hour shift. The passengers are in a playful mood and don't want to name the destination address. Instead, they give the driver a rebus. Can you figure out where they want to go? They want to go to the Eiffel Tower. Look at their berets. They're perfectly prepared for a photo shoot. There was a massive blackout in the city, but the taxi driver still noticed a dog on the road and managed to stop in time and avoid hitting it. What superpower helped him do it? No one said the accident happened at night, and during the day, the driver didn't need electric light to see the dog. 2 daughters and 2 mothers ordered a taxi. The driver specified he had only 3 seats in the car, but it didn't stop them. How is it possible? They are a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. 2 of them are moms and 2 of them are daughters, so there's enough room for everyone in the taxi. Martha receives an order from Mr. White from a really shady neighborhood. When she arrives, she sees 2 men claiming to have made the order. She's afraid one of them could be a criminal trying to leave the area incognito. How can she figure out who actually ordered a taxi through an app? She just needs to ask to see the passenger's phone. The real Mr. White will have a ride request on it. All the passengers have arrived at their destinations, and all the taxi drivers are safe, thanks to you. Well done!
How about we play a little game, a dangerous detective game? To get to the next level, you'll need to do your best at the previous one. So let's see how powerful your analytic powers are. The first level isn't too hard. You'll need to choose the correct answer among the suggested options. Here we go! Look at this image. Your first task is to figure out which of these students is cheating on the exam. This girl rummaging in her bag? This thoughtful guy on the left? The red-headed guy in the back? Or this know-it-all? And the correct answer is C. The girl might just be looking for a pen in her bag, but the ceiling is reflective, and the red-haired guy is trying to see the answers of the boy sitting in front of him. The next one for you. Look at these people. Who is a ghost? This young man in torn clothes? Or perhaps this man with creepy stains? Maybe the lady with scratches on her face? Or this weirdly pale boy? And the correct answer is C again. Have you noticed that the woman's arm is kind of twisted? But she doesn't seem to be bothered by this fact. So she must be the ghost we need. Now, you need to spot a fake nurse. Be very attentive, or this play pretend may end in tragedy. Is it this woman with a stain on her scrubs? Maybe it's this smiley nurse. Or is it the nurse in the middle? The correct answer is B. This lady looks very cheerful, that's true. But are those vampire fangs in her mouth? This time, you gotta spot a superhero among the regular supermarket customers. Pay very close attention to every single detail. Maybe it's this strong woman, or this muscular man. Perhaps this teenager. There might be more to this man than meets the eye. And the superhero is actually the teenager. Have you noticed that mask sticking out of his bag? Good for you! So the correct answer is C. And the last riddle of this level. You need to figure out which of these people is an extraterrestrial visitor. Is it this young lady? Or this scientist conducting eerie experiments? It might be this young lady with weird hair. Perhaps it's this unfriendly man. The correct answer is D. His black mustache doesn't match his white beard. Plus, there's something weird going on with his glasses, see? No temples and earpieces. Now, if you have at least 3 right answers, you can proceed to level 2. Good job! Now, you need to figure out the answers without any hints. No options to choose from. Look at this elderly lady. How cute! She must definitely love her pets. A bit too much, I'd say. Otherwise, she might have noticed something weird going on with one of them. What do I mean? This cat is very suspicious. It has a dog's tail. One of the people invited to this party is a thief. Can you turn on your inner detective and catch the criminal? Here he is, trying to snatch a bracelet from this woman's wrist. This picture is truly idyllic, until you look closer. Then you'll realize that something is spoiling this perfect image. Can you figure out what it is? First of all, the man's cup is turned upside down, and for some bizarre reason, he still pretends to be drinking out of it. And secondly, look at the woman. She's pouring orange juice into her glass, but it's filling with something red. Ooh, we've got some pretty dedicated gamers here. But I'll say they must have been playing for too long already. There's something wrong with both of them. Take a look. The guy on the right has put his hoodie on in the wrong way. The hood is in the front, duh. And the guy on the left is holding the controller incorrectly. A true professional, LOL. And the toughest of them all, this time you'll have to crack real detective riddles. Detective Andrea decided to have a meal at a cafe. But as she came closer, she saw a crying lady. The woman explained that when she had been crossing the road, some woman had grabbed her bag and rushed into the cafe. The detective and the woman entered the cafe. The lady recognized her bag. It was right between 2 women. But she couldn't recognize the one who had taken it since she hadn't had time to look at her carefully. Andrea didn't need much time to figure out which woman was guilty. How about you? If we face the woman, the thief is the one on the right. The woman on the left has her left arm in a cast. If she had taken the purse, she'd have to put it on the right side of herself. Lucas was a talented architect who designed a unique skyscraper. The construction works were starting, and his boss asked the guy to show the site to a group of specialists from a competitor company. The only condition was that they weren't allowed to take any photos. When the group was going to leave, Lucas asked the security to detain one man. The architect claimed he had been taking photos during the tour around the site. How did he understand it? The man was carrying an umbrella, He kept pointing it at different objects, asking lots of questions. But the sky was cloudless. He actually didn't need the umbrella. A camera must be hidden inside. Ellis called her friend, Detective Evelyn Brown, and asked her to come as soon as possible. While the woman was away walking with her dog, someone had gotten into her house and stolen her laptop. Ellis was sure it was her neighbor, John. Evelyn went to question the man, but he wasn't at home. She decided to wait for him in her car. Soon, she saw John opening his door. It turned out he had gone fishing early in the morning and had just arrived. Evelyn didn't believe John and took him to the police station. Why? The guy is wearing white sneakers. But look at the puddles. It must have been raining since early morning. If he was out fishing, why do his shoes look so clean? Mrs. White claimed that her neighbor, Mrs. Black, had stolen her laundry. The woman said she had hung the laundry in her backyard at 10 a.m. And when she went out of the house 2 hours later, she saw Mrs. Black put the clothes in her bag. The other woman denied these accusations. Strangely, the police officer Mrs. White called detained her for trying to slander her neighbor. How did the detective figure out that Mrs. White was lying? It's freezing outside and there's snow on the roofs. Within 2 hours, damp laundry would have been so frozen it would have been impossible to fold it and put it in a bag. And the last riddle for today is a fairy tale one. Long ago, an evil witch took away 3 women and turned them into rose bushes. One of the women, who had children, begged the witch to let her see her family, and the witch agreed. She let the women go home for one night and turned her back into a rose bush the next morning. But the woman's husband followed his wife back. He saw 3 identical rose bushes and suddenly realized which one was his wife. How? The rose bush that was actually his wife didn't have any night dew on its leaves.